Outfielder rankings, a star-studded group, it seems like, year after year, and a beast to take on as we have top 20s from both DJ and Scott. DJ, we will go 20 to 11 out of the gate. Where are you starting off?
So number 20 for me is Teoscar Hernandez. Already went over my case for him going to Seattle. Not really concerned about the ballpark change. I still think he's going to be very valuable. 19, I have Brian Reynolds on the Pirates for now. Maybe not for much longer. Of course, requested a trade. If he's traded at some point, will probably be to a contender, will probably be to a better lineup, maybe a better ballpark. So top 20 outfielder for me, I have him at 19. 18, I have Adolis Garcia. And with Garcia, he was a player we were avoiding in drafts last year, but he backed up his breakout season, improved his strikeout rate as well. I still think there's reason for optimism there. 17, I have Eloy Jimenez, and I think there's a monster season in there somewhere if he could just stay healthy. So I'm willing to take the risk there. 16, I have Corbin Carroll, very exciting prospect with the Diamondbacks. Quality of contact wasn't overly impressive in what we saw from him last year in the majors, but he is one of the fastest players in baseball. Excited to see what he can do. 15, I have Dalton Varsho. I think you're more likely to use him at the catcher position in fantasy leagues, but he still makes my top 20 outfielders. 14, I have Michael Harris II. I'm fading on ADP, but I still think he could be a top 20 outfielder. And of course, I could be wrong, and the upside is there. 13, I have Kyle Schwarber leading off for the Phillies, big-time power. I like him just like Scott does. 12, Cedric Mullins. I think we've already seen his fantasy peak there in Baltimore with the changes that they made in the ballpark, but I think a well-rounded fantasy outfielder for sure. And 11, Luis Robert. I think, again, sort of like with Jimenez, if he could just stay healthy, I think he could be a first-round pick quality player.
Scott, who does your top 20 start with?
Yeah, a lot of the same names. Apologies to Teoscar Hernandez, who did not make my top 20 list, but I think DJ is right that he's going to have a big season. Like Seiya Suzuki in the top 20, second year in America. Sophomore year was my best year in college. I think the second year for Suzuki is going to include a spike when the umpires stop calling him out on every borderline pitch. Brian Reynolds, 19, as DJ mentioned, he'll start in Pittsburgh, probably won't end up there, and he's a very broad base of skills, which is often makes a player underrated in real life or in fantasy. Corbin Carroll is my number 18 outfielder, although I think Jake McCarthy for ADP may be the Arizona outfielder I gravitate towards, but obviously Carroll, a young player with a wonderful set of skills and is going to be coveted in most fantasy leagues. Adolis Garcia at 17, he's swing and miss in his game. He's going to strike out a lot. He may not have a great OBP, but if you're in a standard 5x5 league, you're going to get plenty of category juice. I think smart leagues are going to discount him, and you can swoop in and get a nice deal on Garcia. Eloy Jimenez, as DJ talked about, Chicago, everything went wrong last year with injuries. If Jimenez is healthy, he could be an MVP candidate. It's the cheapest you may get him in the next 5 seasons. Let's try to get some of them. And I have Robert right next to him at 15. It's really the same story. You just need these guys to be healthy, and Chicago could be looking at a top 5 offense. Cedric Mullins may not hit all kinds of pitching, but the Orioles will play him all the time. They'll let him run liberally. He'll probably hit about 15 home runs. He's never going to get back to that peak season we saw a couple of years ago, but still a player who fills 3 or 4 categories and somebody I like in an ascending Baltimore lineup. Kyle Schwarber, 13, perfect modern leadoff hitter. And he's even stealing bases now. He'll get on base. He'll knock 35 out of the park. Really good lineup buoyancy, even without Bryce Harper for half the season. I want to get some shares of the Phillies. Randy Arozarena, number 12. He's power and speed, right? He's not going to go in the elite class of outfielders, but he's the one Ray you kind of know is in the lineup day in, day out. You're going to get 25 home runs, probably 15 stolen bases. I'll say yes to that. Dalton Varsho is going to change teams, going to change leagues. That's always a challenge, but the Toronto Park is going to help him out. The players around him are going to help him out as well. You'll probably use him as catcher, as DJ talked about. I do have Michael Harris at 10, but let me say I'm not going to draft him there. I think DJ outlined the underscoring the problems with Harris, that he could be a dangerous player in his second season. So he's something I'm a little bit nervous about, but I still kept him in a lofty fantasy rank.
Moving into those top 10 rankings, this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. DJ, we'll go 10 to 6 here. Where do you start?
So I have Randy Arozarena at 10, so just a little bit higher than Scott. And what I liked from Arozarena last year was that he improved his strikeout rate. So I don't think he's quite the batting average risk that maybe he looks like. And you get that well-rounded counting stats there. So I'm a fan of Arozarena for sure. Mike Trout at number 9. Can you believe that? In fantasy outfielders. But has the injury concerns, doesn't run. He's stolen 4 bases over the past 3 seasons combined. So,
when
you're looking at these top fantasy outfielders, most of them are going to steal bases. Yordan Alvarez is the exception, but that's what you're looking for from a top fantasy outfielder. Trout's just not doing that these days. Fernando Tatis Jr. I have at number 8 here. A lot of NAs there because he did not play last season, was hurt, had the PED suspension, coming off of shoulder surgery as well. So what are we going to see from him this year? Who knows? But the upside is through the roof. I have him number 8 here. He could very well be number 1 by the end of the season. Number 7, Mookie Betts, leading off there for the Dodgers. Maybe not the player he once was fantasy-wise, but he's going to get on base atop a good lineup. Will give you power, a little bit of speed as well. I think he's a safe play. 6, Yordan Alvarez. I think he could be the MVP this season. His expected batting average was actually higher than 306 last year, and the contact that he makes is just ridiculous. Quality of contact is insane. So I think he could hit 40 home runs. He could hit for a higher batting average. He could win a batting title this year, so I'm a huge fan of Alvarez as well.
Scott, you mentioned your top 10 kicks off with Michael Harris, but where does it go from there?
Yeah, I ran through the stop line on that. I apologize, but Harris is my 10. Michael Trout, number 9. He's on the backside of his career. It's a Hall of Fame career. It's maybe a Mount Rushmore career, but not going to run anymore. And I don't think he's going to play anywhere close to 150 games. So I'm probably not going to draft into Trout. Maybe I'll regret that. What do we get from Fernando Tatis after missing a full season? That's why he's my outfielder 8. But as DJ mentioned, I mean, he could be on all the magazine covers next year in a deep San Diego lineup, which includes Juan Soto, my number 7 outfielder, coming off a down season, but maybe the trade rumors played with him a little bit. San Diego is not quite as bad of a park as it used to be. They've made some cosmetic changes and some infrastructure changes. The ball flies a little bit better there now, so don't let the park cheat you out of Juan Soto. I have Mookie Betts at 6 just because of the floor. When has Mookie Betts ever let you down? He's in a really strong lineup. He will run some. He still has power. He's going to hit for a plus average. He's not electric maybe in any category, although he'll probably lead the league in runs scored. And I think that actually makes him a little bit underrated. Yordan Alvarez, left-handed hitter. Now there's no shift anymore. This guy, it's just so crazy that he hits over 300. He was unlucky by the StatCast metrics, as DJ was talking about. You want any piece you can get in this Houston lineup, and that means Yordan Alvarez, I think, is a legitimate first-rounder.
All right, finally, DJ, 5-1. Take us home here with the best outfielders in your projections for fantasy baseball.
Yeah, so I have Juan Soto at 5, and when I look at what he did last year, I think he was pressing a little bit when he started the year with the Nationals and a lineup that was basically blown apart. Then he goes to San Diego, deals with a little bit of a back issue. I wonder how much that was a factor in what we saw down the stretch. Also hit a ton of infield fly balls, which is kind of unlike what Juan Soto usually does. I think we see a bounce back there with him this year in a lineup that should be a ton of fun. I have Kyle Tucker here at number 4. For me, it was a little bit disappointing last year, but still piled up the counting stats. I like the Astros lineup. Hopefully he's in a prominent spot there. You never know with Dusty Baker what he might decide. But I think across the board, very valuable, makes a ton of contact too. There's probably some batting average upside we haven't seen there quite yet from Tucker. Number 3, I have Ronald Acuña Jr. coming off that ACL surgery last year. Just kind of a little bit of a downturn in everything, quality of contact, sprint speed, but you have to think a year removed from that surgery, we see him bounce back, be a little bit more the Acuña that we're accustomed to. Number 2, the fast riser, Julio Rodriguez here. I mean, just think of what he could do over a full season. We basically got 3/4 of a season out of him last year, but a full 162, like if he doesn't go 30-30 this year, it's going to be a disappointment. He also probably won't match his ADP if he doesn't, so that's something to keep in mind. Aaron Judge, I have number 1 here. And the reason for that is just the power advantage that he gives you. Yes, hit 62 home runs last year. That was 16 more than the next closest player. So for me, just the advantage that he gives you there in a hitter-friendly ballpark, like he scored 133 runs. Can he do that again? Probably not. But I think when you're talking about floor, Judge is a pretty good one.
Scott, excited to see where you differ in your top 5. Where do you kick things off?
Yeah, again, I keep overrunning the bases. I did mention already that Alvarez was my number 5 outfielder. And please draft this guy in the first round if you can and get his teammate Kyle Tucker Remember when they did the Ted Williams documentary, they needed a stand-in for Ted Williams to swing. They went to Kyle Tucker. What's a better compliment than that? And the Houston lineup is so, I mean, maybe the 8 and 9 spots will be dead, but they'll go 7 deep, and Tucker can go 30-30. He's a guy who could be an MVP candidate. Julio Rodriguez, he's going to be fun at the draft, so you're going to have to elbow everybody out of the room. Why did he not steal at the second half of last year? Was he dinged up a little bit? Does he see that maybe his game should be more about staying on the field, the home runs and everything? But what an exciting player, and I think Seattle was really smart to lock him up for the long term. He's their signature guy for the next decade. Ronald Acuña, again, a guy who could be on the magazine covers next year. He was hurt last year. Atlanta's defense is very deep, and Acuña's made it clear, I want to be a 40-40 guy. I want to steal bases. I want to, be the best, the most dynamic stat grabber in the league. So I have him ranked 2. Some people may have him ranked 1, but Aaron Judge, after last season, he stays in New York. He's going to dominate 4 categories. So you say he doesn't run, so what? We're going to find stolen bases a lot easier this year. So but Judge doesn't fill out that category, it doesn't matter to me. And I love him in New York because you know what? This guy, he can hit him out of Yellowstone, but he can also miss a pitch, hit it to the opposite field, and it still winds up in the seats.
Yep.